101 Famous Poems. How did you die? By Edmund Vance Cooke. Spoken and with commentary by E. T. Hansen. Did you tackle that trouble that came your way with a resolute heart and cheerful, or hide your face from the light of day with a craven soul and fearful? Oh, a trouble's a ton, or a trouble's an ounce, or a trouble is what you make it, and it isn't the fact that you're hurt that counts, but only how did you take it? You are beaten to earth? Well, what's that? Come up with a smiling face. It's nothing against you to fall down flat, but to lie there, that's disgrace. The harder you're thrown, why, the higher you bounce. Be proud of your blackened eye. It isn't the fact that you're licked that counts. It's how did you fight, and why. And though you be done to death, what then? If you battled the best you could, if you played your part in the world of men, why, the critic will call it good. Death comes with a crawl or comes with a pounce, and whether he's slow or spry, it isn't the fact that you're dead that counts, but only how did you die. How to suffer well. My father sent a special message to me with this poem. All he did was underline 6 lines, the last 2 lines of each verse. And it isn't the fact that you're hurt that counts, but only how did you take it. It isn't the fact that you're licked that counts. It's how did you fight and why. It isn't the fact that you're dead that counts, but only how did you die. He was watching me. He saw that I was hurting. He saw that I was licked. He saw that I was afraid of death. And like the so-called critic in the poem, and Cooke isn't talking about poetry critics in newspapers here. His critic with a capital C is a metaphor for God, or maybe some kind of universal truth. My father was unimpressed with the hurt, the defeat, the fear. After all, Dad had gone through all that. He had suffered defeat, he'd been hurt, he had faced death in the war, and knew it would get him in the end. He knew I would go through all that too. We all would. He understood that suffering is a universal and immutable fact of life. We complain a lot today. We make a religion of complaining. We scour social media looking for people who say something stupid and pretend we're outraged. We lie in wait for someone to have a different opinion and twist their words to make them appear as devils bent on destroying the world. We magnify our woes and suffering in general into monumental catastrophes and then look for someone to blame. The government, a political party, society, cancel culture, celebrity culture, our parents who did not raise us correctly. We worship victimhood so much, we come to believe that suffering is unusual and unfair, that life is meant to be without hardship, defeat, and disappointment. And when that happens, the proper response is to demand that someone be punished or that the state make it right for us. But the fact is, we are here, at least in part, to suffer. Suffering is part of the human challenge, part of the experience of life. A life without suffering, hardship, unfairness, defeat, inequality, disappointment, crisis, and tragedy would be a life without growth, without personality, without character, a life without living. We need suffering because it challenges us, proves us. It is a natural experience like love or responsibility, and without it we remain children, innocents in the Garden of Eden, like the atrophy of the unused muscles of a bedridden patient. Do you know what muscle atrophy looks like? You lose your balance, your coordination, your energy. You can't smile, you can't see straight or speak or even swallow properly. If you don't use your muscles, you lose them. Likewise, if you don't use the strength of character inside you, you lose it. Suffering well, with dignity, with courage, without complaint or running to mom and dad to solve your problems, getting back up and rejoining the fight, is the measure of who we are as human beings. It is what determines if we are a person the critic, God, the universe, our dad, or we ourselves will be proud of. About Edmund Vance Cooke. Edmund Vance Cooke, 1866 to 1932, was a popular Canadian poet from Port Dover, Ontario, who left his job at a sewing machine factory at the age of 27 to become a full-time poet and speaker, which he succeeded at. After his first book of poems, A Patch of Pansies, in 1894, he went on to publish over a dozen books of poetry and children's books. He married and had 5 children, and later in life discovered the radio as a medium for poetry, regularly reading his poems over the air to thousands of listeners in Detroit. Cooke died in Cleveland, Ohio, and is remembered today almost only for his one most famous poem, How Did You Die?